To say it's been a busy offseason might be the understatement of the year. With teams spending big money to land the most coveted stars, and others running it back with the same squad as they've had in the last few seasons, it's shaping up to be another great year in 2025. Let's take a look at who I think fits the best with their new or most recent teams. This won't include the biggest contracts like Juan Soto or Max Fried, but without further ado, let's dive right in. Starting with the defending World Series champions in LA, the Dodgers are, depending on your point of view, going to get a ton of hate for their business this offseason, as I've documented previously. But of all the moves they made, two in particular stand out to me. Tommy Edman signing a 5-year extension to remain in LA, and Teoscar Hernandez returning to the Dodgers to the tune of a 3-year, $66 million deal. Edman is the prototypical Dodger, a versatile, well-rounded player who can slot in anywhere you need. Spending most of his time at center field and shortstop in 2024, Edman was a huge part of the Dodgers' run to the World Series, especially when hitting right-handed. In the regular season alone, Edman hit .412 with 4 homers and a .1299 OPS. But in the postseason, Edman hammered southpaws to the tune of a .647 average with 6 extra base hits, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, and an 1882 OPS. The 2024 NLCS MVP added so much more than just timely hitting to the Dodgers. The ability to play basically anywhere across the diamond is invaluable, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Edman end up as the regular second baseman or shortstop to end the season. The 2021 Gold Glover at second base has shown he's more than capable defensively, and the Dodgers value versatility as much as any analytics-heavy franchise. The other player committing at least the next few years to this current iteration of the Los Angeles Dodgers is no stranger to big hits in big moments. Teoscar Hernandez's game-tying RBI double in Game 5 of the World Series put his ability to come up clutch center stage, and the Dodgers seemed like the only place where he would sign once he re-entered the free agent market. With a career-high 33 home runs in 2024, Hernandez was part of my 24 under-the-radar players to watch in 2024, and it would appear your boy knows ball. The 3 Dodger MVPs command the headlines, as do the exceedingly nasty bullpen and deep rotation. But Hernandez's presence in the lineup is about as underrated as you'll find in the league. Every lineup with superstars needs a player to protect them and do damage when opposing teams pitch the likes of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman very carefully. Hernandez fits that bill perfectly. And while other teams would balk at the financials paid to a player effectively signed to complement superstars, the Dodgers are, as we know, basically printing money. To the other team re-signing 2 huge pieces from their 2024 season, the Mets bringing back both Jesse Winker and Sean Manaea is a hugely underrated part of an offseason dominated by Juan Soto moving from the Bronx to Queens. Sean Manaea was one of the best left-handed starters in baseball, particularly down the stretch. After dropping his arm angle slightly, the metrics showed a night and day difference between the Manaea of seasons gone by and the 2024 version of the big lefty. In the 2 seasons following his departure from the A's, Manaea hasn't been particularly good. With the Padres in 2022 and Giants in 2023, Manaea appeared in 67 games, making 38 starts, with a 4.73 ERA, walking 3 batters per 9 innings, giving up 43 home runs. While his first 20 starts with the Mets were decent, a small mechanical tweak unlocked a new pitcher. A lower arm angle helped Manaea experience a run of dominance that helped propel the Mets to the NLCS. From July 25th through the end of the season, Manaea pitched to a 3.09 ERA in 12 starts, while holding opponents to a 170 batting average and 538 OPS. And though the Dodgers finally got to Manaea in Game 6 of the NLCS, the Mets are betting that this second half of 2024 isn't an aberration, but rather the start of a championship caliber run for the Metropolitans. On the other hand, Jesse Winker has been a very intriguing figure in baseball. After his breakthrough season in 2021 that saw him named an NL All-Star, Winker bounced around a little bit before landing in New York at the trade deadline in 2024. And while the regular season numbers themselves weren't spectacular, Winker delivered clutch hit after clutch hit for the Mets down the stretch as they secured the final wildcard spot in the National League. In the postseason, Winker was one of the Mets' key contributors, hitting .318 with an 1168 OPS and a .224 WRC+. In a year where the Mets weren't supposed to be competitive, Winker was able to help drive the OMG and Grimace-powered Mets to an improbable appearance in the NLCS. While I do ultimately feel like they would have lost to either of the Dodgers or Padres, Winker's screw you attitude brings an edge to a Mets team that has all the ingredients needed to challenge for a championship in 2025. Flaherty was the centerpiece of a young Cardinal pitching staff with designs on challenging for championships, as is the Cardinal tradition. But after injuries and general inconsistency, Flaherty struggled to find solid ground underneath him, and in 2023, he was shipped off to Baltimore in the hopes that he'd find his footing in a new environment. But he wasn't necessarily good down the stretch in 2023 either, and the Orioles struggled in the postseason and watched Flaherty hit free agency after a disappointing ALDS. And with a relatively quiet starting pitching market for teams not named the Dodgers, Flaherty signed a one-year deal with the Tigers. Behind unanimous AL Cy Young Award winner Tarik Skubal, Flaherty was one of the standout performers on a middling Tigers team. And so when Flaherty was dealt to the Dodgers before the trade deadline, we all thought the Tigers would fully shift gears and look towards 2025. But of course, baseball is unpredictable, and a team that sold at the deadline went on to make the postseason behind Skubal and quote-unquote pitching chaos. Had they hung on to Jack Flaherty though, the Tigers may have made it that much further in the postseason. Hindsight's 2020, but the fact remains that Flaherty ended up living out every kid's dream, to play for their favorite team in the big leagues. And with the Dodgers, Flaherty was instrumental in stabilizing a rotation decimated by injuries. In 10 starts for the Dodgers, Flaherty went 6-2 with a .358 ERA. And while the metrics themselves don't stand out, Flaherty was able to give the Dodgers depth and, more importantly, quality innings down the stretch. And in the postseason, Flaherty showed exactly why he was so promising as a rookie all those years ago. Game 1 of the NLCS featured 7 shutout innings against the Mets, while Flaherty also held the Aaron Judge and Juan Soto-led Yankees relatively quiet in Game 1 of the World Series. While things didn't materialize for him to stay with his hometown Dodgers long term, Flaherty ends up back in Detroit, where a sense of optimism and expectation has returned. And behind the AL's pitching Triple Crown winner in Tarik Skubal, Flaherty fits exactly what the Tigers needed: a proven pitcher with ability to give you quality innings and consistency. I've spent an entire video documenting the Braves' struggles in 2024. Injuries played a part, but there were holes in the Braves' approach that have been left open up until this offseason. As a Braves fan, I'm cautiously optimistic about what Tim Hires will bring as a hitting coach, but I'm mostly excited about the signing of Jurickson Profar to a 3-year, $42 million contract. After being a top prospect for the better part of 10 years, Profar finally had his breakout campaign in 2024. With the Padres, Profar hit .280 with 24 home runs, 85 RBIs, and an .839 OPS. He also posted a .139 WRC+ and was 15th in all of baseball in weighted on-base average, on par with the likes of Freddie Freeman, Corey Seager, and Jose Ramirez. But it's not just a production that makes me excited about Profar's addition to the Braves. The process-oriented metrics suggest that Profar will bring, along with Tim Hires, a renewed approach at the plate in 2025. Among Braves hitters with at least 100 plate appearances last season, Profar would have had the second lowest chase rate and the highest contact percentage. He also would have had one of the lower swing percentages on strikes, and third lowest overall swing percentage, suggesting a much more patient approach at the plate than what the Braves had in 2024. And as I laid out in a previous video, the Braves have had an overly aggressive hitting approach in the last few seasons. Profar's hitting profile from 2024 seems like a significant departure from what the Braves have been over the last few years, and I could not be more excited about it. A healthy Braves lineup with Profar making an impact in the overall game plan should help tremendously in erasing 2024 from all of our memories as Braves fans. Do you think the Phillies are disappointed with how the 2024 season ended? Beyond just losing in the NLDS, the Phillies lost their grip on the #1 overall seed in the NL to the Dodgers and finished the season rather flat. Outside of Bryce Harper doing Bryce Harper things and Nick Castellanos' walk-off double in Game 2 in Philadelphia, the Phillies didn't have much to cheer about in October. So what did Dave Dombrowski, known for his wheelin' and dealin' approach, decide to do in the offseason? He only traded for one of the most talented left-handed pitchers in all of baseball in Jesus Luzardo. For so many years, one of my personal favorite starters to watch, Luzardo brings upper 90s cheese and nasty breaking stuff to a rotation that already features perennial Cy Young Award candidates Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. You think the Dodgers have a good big three in Snell, Yamamoto, and Glasnow? Not to mention the question marks but probable dominance of Ohtani and Sasaki? Look at what Philly has in store. Luzardo is going to strike out upwards of 200 batters this season. Wheeler is a top 3, if not frontrunner for Cy Young, and Nola is one of the most consistent 3-ish ERA starters in the league. Factor in Ranger Suarez and Christopher Sanchez, and you easily have a top 3 rotation in baseball. I'd put them on par with the likes of the Mariners, who produced the best ERA in the league in 2024, and the Dodgers, who have an embarrassment of riches in the pitching department. Speaking of pitching, one of the biggest moves of the offseason for me was when the Yankees acquired Devin Williams from the Brewers. Coming off their first World Series appearance since 2009, the Yankees are making every effort imaginable to rebound from losing not only the World Series, but also seeing Juan Soto trade the iconic pinstripes for the blue and orange of the Mets. And while you could say signing Max Fried to the most lucrative contract ever for a left-hander, adding veteran first baseman Paul Goldschmidt, and trading for 2019 NL MVP Cody Bellinger is a good start, nothing takes the cake for me more so than adding one of the most dominant relievers in the league. Williams is known for throwing probably the most disgusting changeup you'll ever see, dubbed the Airbender by Pitching Ninja, aka Rob Friedman, great follow on social media. While he did unravel a bit in the NL wildcard round against the Mets, Williams looks set to play a huge role for the Bronx Bombers in 2025. Luke Weaver will likely be the closer, but as we saw for all those years in Milwaukee behind Josh Hader, Williams can be one of the most devastating relievers in the league. For so many years now, it feels like Red Sox Nation has been begging John Henry, Craig Breslow, or whoever's in charge of baseball ops, and the front office to just do something. Anything to make the club appreciably better. So after years of trying to just win at the margins and hope Rafael Devers can turn into prime David Ortiz, Breslow finally pulled the trigger on a big acquisition. The Red Sox parted with 3 prospects, including top 100 prospect Kyle Teel, to land Garrett Crochet from the White Sox. Andrew Bailey had a huge impact on Boston's pitching staff as a whole in 2024, and while there were a few wobbles down the stretch, the Sox will once again have a bona fide ace to lead the rotation. Ironically, the last true ace the Red Sox had in their ranks was Chris Sale, who was also acquired from the White Sox for a few top prospects. Now, another White Sox escapee in the form of Crochet will be expected to deliver big things. You've really got a feel for the Sox with just the 4 World Series championships since 2004. Nobody should feel sorry for Boston in any capacity whatsoever when it comes to sports, and any woe is me coming from the frigid Northeast should be met with the same sort of ire that's been directed at the Dodgers. Keep it consistent, folks. That's all for now. Let me know who you think best fits their team, new or otherwise, in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, a like is greatly appreciated, and make sure you subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.